Hey everybody, welcome to week 1 of Christmas Around the World, the 2019 Crochet Along for Bizzy Crochet. We are going to be starting with our center, which is going to be a poinsettia, and in the original picture it shows a gold and a red, but I decided that I was going to go with one of kind of the color alternatives of a poinsettia, because I don't know if you've looked up pictures before, but they come in all different shades of color. You could use violets, you could use peaches, you could use yellows, you could use reds. They're just a beautiful flower that you can choose any variety that you want. I'm going to stick with something that's a little bit more in the kind of peachy, I'm going with kind of a beachish tone for this blanket, just because I live in Florida, and my first blanket I did kind of a boho, comfy boho color, where it was all natural tones and just very, I would say like traditional Christmassy. But for this one, I want to do kind of a beach color. Plus, it'll help with the videos as we're going forward. It'll make it very easy for you to see the stitches. So what I'm going to be using is number 4. It's going to look like this. Oh boy, I'm okay. Gotta get used to this camera. All right, so it's going to have that number 4 medium on there, and my particular color in the center is going to be a 5 ounce, but that's because it's a specialty yarn. It's got that sparkle in it. I'm using Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn, which is a number 4 weight. Their regular skeins are usually like 7 ounces. This would be one of their regular colors, and this is, I believe, Sun Gold is their gold color, and that's what it's named. I happen to have a nice big ball of it left over, so it's going to make it easy for me to start my center. So we are going to start with, I guess, the, would that be the pistil or the, well, we'll just call it the center of the flower, because I'm not really sure what the technical term is. I'm also using, for your information, a number 7 4.5 millimeter hook, and then just have a pair of scissors around for cutting things off. Now, if you've never made a magic ring before, this is how I make my magic ring. And then I go under and I pull up, kind of wrapping this around each other. But then I grab onto all of that because it can very easily slip out. And I am going to do 20 half double crochets into the center of this ring. I'm not going to count my first chain 2 as a half double crochet. That's just a preference. You can if you want, but I feel like it leaves a gap when I slip stitch into a chain. So I'm on 2, 3, right, I'm on the last 2, 19 and 20. So you should have a very noticeable ring here. What I'm going to do is that little piece that we left over, that's the part we're just going to pull until it tightens up our circle. Okay, and then I'm going to join with the first half double crochet, not that chain 2, the first half double. I'm going to slip stitch there. All right, we're going to continue working around in this ring, and we're going to use gold on this next one. We're only going to be working in the front loops of these half double crochets. So when you're looking at the top of your stitch, this is your back loop, and this is your front loop. We're only going to be working in the front loop. We're going to chain 4, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go back into where my join was, the front loop only, and I'm going to slip stitch. And I'm going to chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to do it in the same spot again, and I'm going to slip stitch. The next one, we're just going to go chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to slip stitch into that next loop over. and we're going to chain 4, slip stitch into that same loop. So essentially in each of the loops you want to chain 4 and slip stitch. So chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch into the next one. Chain 4, slip stitch into that same one. As long as you have 2 slip stitches in each one of your front loops going around, then you're doing it the right way. 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the same one. 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch in the same one. Okay, I know this feels like it's getting really snug, and that's okay. That's what you want it to be. You want it to look very, very ruffly and very full when you get done going around this entire circle. I'm going to keep working on this. I'll meet you back up over here just before we join. Alrighty, I am on the very last of my slip stitches for the center, but I'm going to chain 1, or not chain 1, chain 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch in the beginning of the very first one that I put in. Now you should have a total of 40 loops going all the way around because you had 20 half double crochets, so in essence 40 loops. You can go ahead and cut off. Now I'm just going to show you, if you lay it out, yes, it gives you a little bit of space. You don't want to do that because you're not actually, this part is, it's all going to be squinched to the middle, because that is going to be the center of your flower. This is the last time that you're going to use gold for a little bit, so you can go ahead and put that away. But if you flip it over, you'll see all these little back loops that were left open. Make sure, go ahead and count around and make sure you've got 20 back loops that are open. Remember, don't count that first chain 2 that you did. And I tend to go from like my last one, I'll start on the last one and I'll go back around the other way so that I know where my first one is. Because we're going to be joining our flower color to our back loops. Alrighty, there was one other thing that I probably should have mentioned. You should probably have a needle that has a large eye in it so that you can be tucking your ends in as you go. You don't have to. I do it just so that I don't have to contend with them working on the next piece. And that means that I've got less things that I have to worry about and possibly screwing up. Alrighty, we are going to be starting round 3, which means we're going to be adding our petal color to the back of our flower center. So in one of the open loops, go ahead and pull up your flower color. Hold this behind and go ahead and chain 3. That is going to count as a double crochet going forward. And we are going to put another double crochet into this same stitch. Basically our pattern repeat going around is going to be 2 double crochets in this stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And I am using this opportunity to catch this beginning piece into the back of my work so that I have less that I have to put in later. But in the next loop, there's 1 and 2. And in the next loop, we're just going to put 1. Next loop gets 2. This is a little fiddly just because you've got all that center to deal with. But just keep pushing it out of your way. You're not going to hurt it by manhandling it. All right. 2 and 1. All right, keep going around, doing 2 and then 1. You should have 30 when you finish this round. In the very last 2 loops, I'm doing 2 double crochet and 1 double crochet, and I'm going to join with my first chain 3, which acts as my first double crochet. Okay, so you should be able to flatten this out nicely when you're done. It shouldn't be too tight, and you should have 30 stitches going around. Okay, moving on to round 4. We are going to chain 3, and this is going to count as a back post double crochet. We are going to do another back post double crochet in the same space as our join. So going around the post from behind and pulling up a loop and completing a double crochet. Then we're going to back post double crochet around 3. So we're working inside the brackets of the pattern now. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do 2 back post double crochets around the next post. This is what we call an increase row. Excuse me. All right, now we're going to start creating our flowers, I guess. And in order to do that, we're going to switch what we're doing from back post double crochet to front post double crochet. So we're going to go from the front around the post. We'll do a front post double crochet, chain 1, front post double crochet around the same post. Okay, so it all happens on 1 stitch. Okay, and then after we do our front post, we're going to do 2 back double crochets around the next, and that puts us at the end of our brackets. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of the brackets, which says back post around 3. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to do 2 around the next. 1 and 2. Then we're going to switch and do a front post. So front, chain 1, and front post around the same post, and finish off that cycle with 2 around the next. Go back to the beginning of our brackets, back post around 3. And 2 around the next one. Oops, didn't want to come. There we go. And then our front post, chain 1, front post, finishing off with 2 back post around the next. All right, you go ahead and finish this up. I'll meet you at the end of this round. Okay, and so I'm going to quick address what's going on in our brackets, because if you look at it, it says to do your brackets 4 times, which would have you ending with 2 back double crochets around the one following our flower or our front post. So this is 4 times. Well, it leaves a chunk here, but if you notice right after that it says star to star 1. So if you look back up in the brackets, go back to the star, which takes us back to the back post around 3. And then you will back post around 2. I'm sorry, 2 back posts around 1. After that, all that should be left is a single. So you will front post, chain 1, and front post around the same one. Now remember, when we started, this first chain 3 counted as a back post double crochet. So we're going to join with that, and we don't need to do anything after that because this is the beginning of our poinsettia, and we should start with 5 petals. All right, we're starting round 5, and that begins with another chain 3, which is going to count as a back post double crochet again. So we're going to back post around the next 2. We're not going to go around the front or the first one where the join is. We're going to go right on to the next 2. So you should have a total of 3 there. All right, now we're going to start another petal, I guess. So you'll front post, chain 1, front post around that one, and then you will back post around the next 3. 2 and 3, which will bring you right up to the next flower petal. You are going to front post around the first front post. In this chain 1 space, you're going to V-stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then go ahead and front post around that second front post. So you can see how this is beginning to raise up because of using the back post and the front post. It gives it a lot of dimension. All right, so we are going to go ahead and back post around 3. 2 and 3. And going back to the beginning of our brackets, we will front post, chain 1, front post around the next, back post around the next 3. I know it seems a little bit chunky and messy right now, but it will all start to lay out a little bit better as we put more stitches into this. All right, so then front post around front post, V-stitch in the chain 1 space. Remember, that's double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then front post around the next front post. I'm going to go ahead and back post around 3. We're going to start another petal, so we'll front post, chain 1, front post, a back post around 3, okay, see how that's beginning to raise up some of our petals? Front post around our front post, V-stitch, and front post. All right, go ahead and continue. You're going to do back post around 3 and do another front post, back post around 3, all the way around. Just continue that pattern. All right, making sure to put your V-stitch and your front posts around that last flower petal that you come up against, and then slip stitch to your chain 3 for round 5. So now you should have a total of 10 petals, 5 that are like a little more pronounced than the others, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And this is what your back should look like. It's going to continue to be an embossed stitch works on, you know, basically working back post and front post double crochets. So your back becomes, you know, very textured and rippled as well as the front of it does. It's a lovely stitch, very thick. So we're gonna go on to round 6. We're going to chain 3, treat this as a back post double crochet, and then we're going to back post double crochet around the same post again. We'll back post around 2, we're going to front post around the next front post, V-stitch in that chain 1, and front post around the front post again. Back post around 2, and here's what's going to really start helping your petals to stick out a little bit more, is sometimes we're going to be putting 2 back post double crochets around the back post that's closest or behind the petal, which actually helps to create a relief and pushes it forward. Okay, we're going to front post around the first and the second. We're going to do our V-stitch in that center chain 1. Front post around the next and the next. See how pretty that petal's becoming? And then back post twice around the next. I'm gonna just lay this down real quick. Pushing this petal forward, it really is beginning to create that embossed look. Go ahead and back post around the next 2. Do front, V-stitch, and front, back post around 2, do 2 back posts around the next, all right, front, front, V-stitch in that chain 1, and then 2 more front posts. Go ahead and throw your 2 around the next. All right, I'm going to let you keep going in the established pattern. When you get over to this chain 3, go ahead and slip stitch there, and then I'll be back to help you with round 7. Okay, this is the end of round 6, and I want to make sure that you're counting as you go. So you should have 90 stitches in total going around round 6. We're going to start on round 7 now. So chain 3 like normal, back post around 2, so not around the beginning one like we did last time, but around the next 2. 2 back posts around the next. Okay, we're gonna front post double crochet around 2. So now we're building up that secondary leaf that we put on here. And we're V-stitching in that chain 1. And front post and front post. And this is going to be the one that receives the doubles before and after. All right, then go ahead and back post around the next 3. Okay, we're going to front post around 3. Going to V-stitch, and that's center chain 1. And front post around the next 3. Okay, you see the difference between the 2 different petals there. Then back post around 3. 2 and 3, and you'll do 2 back posts around the next. Okay, so that's the full bracket. We're going to start back over, front post around 2, V-stitch, front post around 2. All right, 2 back posts around the next. Back post around 3. Front post around 3. Got it. V-stitch, front post, front post, and front post. Back post around 3. And finish off that bracket with a double back post. Okay. All right, keep going on the established pattern. As you can see, it's starting to really raise those petals up so that they stand out individually. Go ahead and continue around, join with the chain 3 that we started with. Okay, round 7 is complete. You should have 120 stitches in total going around. All right, so I'm going to be starting with round 8. Just want to make sure I get that close enough. And we're going to chain 3. We will back post double crochet around the joining post, so our starting one, and around the next 4. Okay. Front post around the next 3. V-stitch in that chain 1 space, and front post around the next 3. Okay. We're going to back post around 4. 2, 3, and 4. 2 back posts around the next one. So 1 and 2 around the same spot. Excuse me. All right, so this is the bigger of our 2 petals. This is the one that we're going to start decreasing to bring to a point. So over the next 2 front post double crochets, we're going to front post double crochet 2 together. So go around the post and pull up and go through 2. Do that again around the next post, pull up and go through 2, and then go through the 3 that are left on your hook. You've just made a decrease. We're going to do that a total of 4 times. So that's the second time through all 3. Skip your chain 1 here. Through all 3. And over the last 2 front posts. Okay. So do you see how that's beginning to round that back in? We'll actually create a point like this through future rows. But getting back to this, we're going to double back post double crochet. So 1 and 2 around that 1 single post. And back post around 4. So that was the whole information within the brackets. So that means we're going to go back to the beginning of the bracket, and we will front post double crochet into 3. V-stitch in the chain 1 space, and front post around the next 3. Okay, we're going to back post around 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 around the next. All right, we're going to do that, decreasing over the petal again. So 4 front post double crochet 2 together. All right. Skip over that V-stitch or the chain 1. And the last front post. Do 2 back posts around the next post, and back post around the next 4. All right, so this is the repeat within the brackets that you're going to keep going around until you meet up with where you began over here. You'll slip stitch with your first chain 3 because it counts as our back post double crochet. Just remember on this one, we're going to be basically, you know, continuing to expand it. So every other one of these, you're going to be decreasing. All right, I'll let you go. I'll meet you back up over here. Alrighty, I'm ready to start round 9, but I want to make sure that you have 120 stitches on your round 8 before we keep going. All right, now round 9, we're going to be doing some more decreasing on this row, starting with your chain 3, and we're going to back post around the join, which is our chain 3 from the row below, and then we're going to back post around 4. 1, 2, excuse me, 3, and 4. Now we're going to be putting a lot more double back posts right underneath our petals, because we're getting to the point where both of our petals, the ones we started with and the ones we added in the next row, are going to be all being decreased and coming to a point. So we're going to be working towards making sure that they're popping forward. All right, so 2 back posts around the next. Now we're going to decrease over this petal 4 times. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, now we're going to back post around the next twice, because we're working on making sure that that petal pops forward. Back post around 4. 1, 2, hold on, I gotta real quick, I'll be right back. Okay, and then double 1, 2, 3, and then 4, sorry, got ahead of myself, and then double back post around the next one. Okay, we're going to decrease over the next 4, because the last time that we went over this petal, we decreased it down to 4 stitches. So we're going to do actually 2 decreases, because each decrease obviously made its own stitch. When you're doing these decreases, make sure that you grab around this portion and not around this skinny little portion right here, because otherwise it'll leave a funky gap in between these stitches and those stitches. On each of them, it just transitions nicer. 1 and 2. Alrighty. Now we're going to double back post. Back post around 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and double. Okay, so that was the first time through the brackets. Now you're going to be decreasing on each of the petals that you come across, but of course they're going to be at varying levels of decreasing because of where we're at on the round. The first time you go, the first set of decreases are going to be 4, the second set of decreases are going to be 2. Just remember to go around more of the body of the actual stitch than way up here, just because you don't want to end up with a weird gap. And then remember that you're going to be putting 2 in the corner right before each of your petals on each of them, so that we can make them pop forward. All right, I'm going to let you go ahead and finish this up. This is where our row started, so continue around. You should repeat this a total of 4 times, and then you'll repeat the asterisk once. All right, I'll meet you back up over here to do round 10. Alrighty, we are moving on to round 10. Look at how each of those petals are really starting to pop forward now. Okay, we are going to chain 3 again. We're going to back post double crochet around 6, not starting with our join, but into the around the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 5 and 6. We're going to do a double back post around the next. Okay, this is going to be a decrease of 4. Remember to go around the body of the post. There's 1 and 2. I should have said 2. Sorry, it was a total of 4 stitches. All right, so there we're beginning to, I just absolutely love the way these look. All right, so we are going to, around the next post, do 2 back posts. Back post around 7, so 1, 2, 3. I'll just go and tuck these little ends in later. I had to cut out a knot from my yarn. 4, 5, 6, and 7. Excuse me. We're going to do 1 more front post double crochet decrease over this petal here. Once again, going around the body of the post. Okay, and all right, you've actually finished your first petal. Good for you. Back post around 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Do 2 around the next. Okay, there we go. All right, so that is our first complete repeat within the brackets. Which actually is, this is where our brackets started, right here, and then moving along and finishing with the 2 over here. So this area right here is going to be a repeat. So you're going to do that all the way around, joining with your first chain 3. You'll have 105 stitches after you finish round 10. And then we've got 1 more round after this of embossed stitch, and then we will go ahead and make this into the center square for the blanket. Alrighty, round 10 is done, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your petals that actually have come to a point. So we won't be working in those petals anymore as far as like front post double crochets or anything are concerned. We're going to start round 11, which is going to be the last of our actual embossed pattern style, where we're doing the back post and front post. And isn't that pretty on the back? I just love the way that looks. All right, so chain 3, we are going to do a back post double crochet 2 together. So just like you did with the front post 2 together, we're going to back post 2 together. So going back post, you treat it just like the front post decrease. Back post around the next 6. All right, I have completed round 10 and I'm moving on to round 11. You should have 5 of the petals that you've brought to a point. All right, starting with the beginning of this round, we're going to back post double crochet 2 together, not using the join, but in the next 2. Treat it just like the front post double crochet decrease. All right, so there's a decrease right there. Now back post around 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we're going to begin working within the brackets now. So the first instruction inside the bracket is to front post double crochet 2 together. So working around the body of those posts, make one more decrease. Back post around the next 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we're going to do that back post double crochet 2 together one more time. And through all 3. You'll back post around 1. Now we're going to treat this right here as a post, so we're going to back post around that post and back post around another one. Okay, do the back post double crochet 2 together one more time. Oops. And now through all 3, and then back post around 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that just doesn't want to go, does it? Okay, 6. There we go. We have completed our first trip through the brackets, starting with the front post double crochet decrease over here and ending with the back post in 6. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be basically like singling out or highlighting at least one set of these petals, the lower ones that we started with. These are not going to be singled out the same way because the row after this, the round after this, you begin turning this into a square. Alrighty, round 11 is completed, and if you take a look at the way that it's finished up, you could use this as a hot pad or a trivet on your Christmas table. You wouldn't have to go any further than this if you wanted to just make a couple of these and use them on your Christmas table. We're going to go forward because we're going to make this into a square for our blanket, but I just wanted to throw that out there just in case you might want to use this for something else. Okay, so you should have 90 stitches going all the way around, and we're going to start round 12, which is with a chain 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is going to count as a double treble. And a double treble, like a regular treble for US crochet, is you yarn over twice. A double treble yarns over 3 times. So we are going to 4 double crochet into the next stitch. So we're not going to do it all in this one. We're going to do 4, and I'm actually going to bring this camera in just a little bit. We're going to do 4 double treble crochets into the next stitch over from where we started. So 1, 2, 3, and then you just pull through 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th one. Okay, so in reality, when we're going around making this into a square, this is actually going to count, because we're going to put 5 of these in our 4 corners. This is going to be part of our original, but for counting purposes and using up all of the stitches going around, we are just doing this like this for this corner. The others will all happen in the same stitch. All right, so we are going to double treble into the next stitch. Okay, so after this first double treble, this is the beginning of our bracket work. So we're going to treble, regular treble, into 2. And then we're going to do a regular double into 2, half double crochet into 3, single into 5, 3, 4, 5, okay, half double into 3, double into 2, treble into 2, double treble into 1, and then to finish out our bracket, we're going to double treble 5 times into this one stitch. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alrighty. I'm going to scoot this back. Here we go. All right, so this is our first side, okay? We should end up with 104 stitches according to the pattern, going around working 4 sides. You'll work this bracket section, which is between this double treble and these 5 double trebles, a total of 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll work the within the brackets there are some asterisks, and that starts with the double treble and it ends with the double treble. You'll work that section 1 more time to finish out your square. And then you'll join with your chain 5, which is counted as a double treble in the beginning, okay? Meet you back up over here, and then we'll have 1 more row to do after this to finish out the square, and then you're done with week 1. All right, so we're going to start on round 13, and we're going to get our hook so that we're in the center of the 5 that are in the corner. So we're going to slip stitch. This is our first stitch, so we don't have to slip stitch there, but slip stitch in the next and into the next. And that should have you lining up or working out of the 3rd double treble of the 5 in the corner. So we're going to, at this point, chain 3. It's going to count as a double crochet, and then we will double crochet, chain 3, and 2 double crochets into that same exact spot. So we're going to create a new corner there. Now we're going to double crochet into 25 stitches going across. Every single stitch gets a double crochet. Okay, 25 stitches across should put you right in the center of the next 5 double trebles that we did from the row below. So this is always, that third one right there is always going to be your corner. And it should give you a nice straight top as you're going across. And then in the corner, you'll do 2 double crochets, chain 3, 2 double crochets into the same spot. So that's always going to be our corner for this round. Okay, so I'm going to let you finish this up. You'll continue over to the next set of 5. You should wind up with your corner being in the third. Just keep repeating that around until you get to this one and slip stitch here. Then you can go ahead and cut off, and you've completed week 1. Congratulations, and I will see you in week 2.